Hi guys, welcome back. We're back with another video. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon to be the first to watch when we upload any new content. Also check out our website on mmkforexgroup.co.za. That's mmkforexgroup.co.za. And today we're going to be going through some pairs that we actually sent out in our VIP signal group. So these were, on markups that we actually sent in our VIP signal group. So we're basically going to be going through these markups and explain the reasons behind, these projections. All right. So the first pair we're going to look at, AUDJPY. This was basically our projection on AUDJPY, and as you can see, structure was to the downside. As you can see, as this flow was going down, we continued breaking structure. So as you can see from this point right here, this is our peak. Right, from the peak we had a nice flow of price into a consolidation after a 1350 crossover, which confirmed the lock of this peak. We had price going back for a nice bounce on that 50 EMA, and we had the second drop. Right, so we're actually expecting a nice safety trade here, as we had already had a 50 and 200 crossover, and we also had an OU setup. Right, we can call it an over-under setup. So the confluence on this one was amazing, right? So this is basically what we expected to see on AUDJPY, right? So if we go to AUDJPY right now, we can see that's exactly what happened, right? Price got into that area, and price actually interacted with that 200 EMA, right? So this was in your H4 time frame, and as you can see, from your H4 time frame, we actually had a nice shark fin, right? We can see we had a nice shark fin. This green line right here actually crossed over with that red one right there. So that was a nice indication right there of a reversal, especially in your 4-hour time frame, right? So if we move over to the H1 time frame, this is what we had, right? This was actually amazing, right? If we actually count our levels on this one, what we can see is we had a peak formation down here. Right, remember we had this 50-200 crossover, and price had not really interacted with that 200 EMA. Right, so from this area we can see we had level 1 into a consolidation. Right, then we had the second level of rise right there, and then we had the last level of rise from this area right here. Right, and as you can see, that actually happened at the zone that we're actually targeting. In this case, we had the 800 EMA in sight, and we also had that OU setup and a nice supply zone right there. And as you can see, what we had on that area, we had a nice W formation, right? Clean W formation. These pairs usually move around Asian session, so such moves are expected, right? Sorry about that, guys. Such moves are expected, especially when you're trading JPY pairs. So if we can look at our TDI, this is what we can see. This is what we can see. We had nice divergence right there. Alright, we had a nice divergence. Not really clear on the chart, right? Not really, something clear on the chart, but we could see the relative strength, right, of this pair that is to the downside, right? So that was also a nice one, right? Because after this RSI was in that band, right, we had a nice market baseline bounce, right? Not really clean, but as you can see, went below it and bounced, and off we went to the downside. So that was also a nice one. So for this one, if you moved over to your M15 time frame, as you can see, variations to the theme. This setup actually played out around Asian session, and we also had another inner OU setup there. It was also amazing, but I was not awake to take this one. Not awake to take this one, but projections are projections, right? So timing is very important, right? Timing. So even though you missed this peak right here, you had a 1350 crossover and a nice bounce right there, so you had a lot of opportunities to actually go short. Right, we had a lot of opportunities to actually go short. So that was one of the pairs that we actually gave out, which was our AUDJPY. Right, so now the second one that we also looked at in this case, I actually have them here. let me just go through this. Yeah, it was EURJPY, right? EURJPY, and this was very clear to see. As you can see, we saw how price moved aggressively from this point, right, breaking this major structure right here, and also reacting at that 800 EMA. And I also liked what I saw here, because we had a 1350 crossover, and we had a nice order block, right, which was just amazing. A very good order block that we had. So we wanted to see price get to that level and see further moves to the downside. Right, so if we look at that, as you can see, that's exactly what happened, right? So some people might ask why I marked this whole zone. This was actually my inner zone. Now this is what you use to actually refine your entries. So if we look at our TDI, same thing, right? In this case, we didn't really have, you know, a shock fin, right? But further confluence was that order block right there. So don't really rely on indicators that much, right? Don't really rely on indicators, but as you can see, with the same thing. And I love the liquidity move to that area right there. It didn't really have much to grab, but I loved what I saw right there. As you can see, this was the refined zone, and we had the same thing. All right, if we look at our TDI, look at that. This was actually amazing, because I loved the shark fin that we had at this extreme point on our TDI. Right, that was actually a nice trade, and this also played out during Asian session, right? And if you missed that yet, a nice opportunity to actually enter these trades if you're not awake around this time. So as you can see, that has already moved for over 260 pips, right? So you don't really need to trade 500 times a week, guys, for you to make money, right? You don't need to do that, right? And the next pair that we also analyzed was USDJPY, right? So if you can look at USDJPY, this was the analysis, right? We were focusing on this whole zone right here, right? And we're expecting a peak reset after that 50 and 200 crossover. Okay, so if we look at what happened, this is what we have on USDJPY. If we look at it from the H4, same thing, right? A nice order block right there, drop base drop. We can see the aggressive moves, which were actually responsible for the break of this structure, right? And we had also had a 1350 crossover, so we expected a peak, right, as that 50 bounce. So this was a nice peak formation. As you can see, we had an M formation right there. Right, so this was also a nice trade, right? If you look at this one from the M15, this is what we had, right? This is what we had. Liquidity was definitely grabbed around these highs. As you can see, price came and reacted around these areas. As you can see, this is where we're at this beginning of this move to the downside. So that was a nice area for you to actually keep an eye on, right? As you can see, so from that area, right, you get other opportunities to enter if you missed out on that one. As you can see, 1350 crossover. We also had a nice crossover here, so this was a nice peak formation there for you to actually take advantage of, right? And we also looked at, you know, NAS 100, but for NAS 100 we actually took a trade which we sent in our VIP signal group, right? But we were actually stopped out in profit, right, as price decided to continue, you know, to grab more liquidity, right, or hit those stops rather. So we're expecting the same thing, right? We're expecting the same thing, a nice move from this area. And I had also identified a nice order block right there, and I had this, you know, young setup here, this OU setup that I had. So I wanted to see price here and continue going to the downside. And as you can see, price actually decided to go above my order block. So in this case, you can see we had some, you know, relatively equal highs right there. So price just went above and grabbed that liquidity right there. So that was also a nice one. And what I love about this one, if you actually look at your sorry about that, if you look at your TDI, this is what you can see around about this area. We had a nice, you know, two legs right there, right? Two legs right there. And as you can see, the first leg right here is actually higher than the second leg, right, as you can see. And then on the chart, the first leg is lower than the second leg, so we have some divergence right there. So that was also a nice trade, and all these trades actually, you know, played out during Asian session as the stops were hit, right, during that session crossover or change over rather. But you also had opportunities along the way to actually you know, grab some pips. as this played out. All right, guys, thank you for watching. If you are new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon to be the first to watch when we upload any new content. Don't forget to join our free Telegram channel. Find the link in the description below for free signals, analysis, and more of our educational content. All right, guys, cheers. Have you been struggling to make consistent profits in the forex markets or not had enough time to analyze the markets and trade? At MMK, we have experienced and qualified traders who analyze the markets and send signals directly to your phone. We are highly selective traders and we provide 5 to 10 signals weekly and a minimum pip count of 1,000 pips monthly. Join the winning team and stop donating your money to brokers.